So I had a very, very challenging problem here for me at least, a brand new amateur mechanic, but I couldn't get the bolts to hold the fan back on here. I wasn't even sure which of these holes the bolts would go into. Um, there was some holes that were previously used there, as you can see, but I tried out some of them and they didn't work. There's a lot of rust in them. It just was not going well for me. I couldn't figure out how could I get this fan mounted back onto the hub. Um, and there just didn't seem like there was any way. I spent hours asking people and looking at things. There's nothing online really for me to find. So that's why I'm putting this video online, because I figured it out finally. Maybe I can help another total amateur mechanic like myself figure out how to do this. So you can see right here, like there's some big holes that actually did fit where the set baser and the fan bolts, but they had metal in the back. You see how that shiny silver metal is in some of those holes, and all the other holes are rusty. Well, I couldn't get the bolts wouldn't go through those holes because there's metal in the back, and the metal followed along even when I rotated the engine. So I didn't know what to do. I figured it must have been those rusty holes that had previously had the bolts in it. I didn't take it apart. It was another mechanic that I'd hired who wasn't able to get a hold of anymore who did it, so I didn't really know what to do next. So those big holes, you can see that there's something rotating in the back. I saw that, and I thought that couldn't be it. But this amazing gentleman named Kyle W. on greentractortalk.com gave me a great plan here for how to do it. He basically pointed out that the pulley and the hub had slipped a little bit, and there was the four holes. It is those big holes with the metal on the back, and if I adjusted it, I would be able to once again be able to mount the fan properly through those holes. He had a great reply here. So he said, remove the drive belt, turn the pulley until it lines up with the four holes, install the two bolts. And he gave me a little diagram here he'd found online of how he thought it was going together, which I have the manual and everything for my excavator. And I don't know where he got this, but it must be for another model machine, because my machine, I didn't have this as far as I could see. Yeah, there's the pulley, and then there's that big round metal hub thing that mounts over the top of it. So I went back to work on it. It took me about an hour working on it. I couldn't figure out how to get that hub off. Finally what I discovered actually is you just pull really hard on it. There's nothing holding it on except I guess those spacer bolts must be what holds it on when it's actually running. Game, set, match. Got this dealie off. And then I have this thing, figure out how to throw it onto. I'm going to take a look and see how that looks. But I'm almost there. Hell yeah, I got the fan belt back on. It took me a minute to figure that one out. Actually, it wasn't too bad. My first time ever putting a fan belt on. Still got those bolts there holding that thing still. So at this point, I just take those bolts off, spacer on, and then bolts back through, and hopefully they will not have adjusted. And this thing will adjust if I'm not real careful taking them out. I'll lose my spot. This guy's slippery on the end of that hub or pulley. Gotta be careful. So it's dark out now, but this has been a success. Got this thing all put together. Got the neighbor's dogs barking at me. There's the shroud. There's the fan. All good. The reason I'd been doing any of this stuff to start with is I had a diesel fuel leak, and I had a mechanic who took the fuel distribution pump off, took it to a repair shop. They repaired it. He came back, put it on about halfway, but he couldn't get the fuel system primed, and then I couldn't get a hold of him to return again, so I finished putting it back on myself. It leaked a little bit. I put it on a little tighter. Now it works better, but then I had all the trouble with the fan. But obviously now the fan's working, engine seems to be running good. Fuel distribution pump is dry, and I think it's looking pretty good.
Bone dry. The fan works.